I get to tell you today a story about Herkimer. Herkimer was a donkey, and Herkimer's nickname was Herkimer the Hee-Haw Donkey. When Herkimer grew up in this barn in a little town called Nazareth, why, the other animals in the barn nicknamed him Herkimer the Hee-Haw Donkey because every time that something exciting happened, why, Herkimer had a tendency to go hee-haw, hee-haw, hee-haw because he was so excited. And they would tease him about that, but it didn't matter. Every time exciting things happened, why, Herkimer did it over and over again. And Herkimer's owner was a man by the name of Joseph. And Joseph came out to the barn one day, and Joseph said, "Herkimer, I've got to get you ready because we've got to leave right away. The Roman governor said that we have to go to Bethlehem, which is the town where our ancestors were, and we have to be taxed there. And we have to have a census, and that's where we have to go. And it's not a very good time to go there, but we have to go right away." So, sure enough, they loaded everything up, and Mary was going to have a baby real soon. And Herkimer felt really bad for Mary because that meant that Mary had to get up on his back and ride all the way to Bethlehem on my back, and she was going to have a baby any day, and she really needed to be well taken care of. So Joseph said, "Herkimer, we've got to take this trip, and we've got to do it right away, and I'm hoping we can get the trip in before the baby's born." And Herkimer went hee-haw, hee-haw, hee-haw because he was all excited about this trip. And so they loaded Mary up on Herkimer's back, and Herkimer felt so bad for Mary because she was so pregnant. The baby was going to come any day. And off they went to Bethlehem. Bethlehem was a long walk for the three of them. And so they took off, and Herkimer tried as much as he could to walk really careful all the way to Bethlehem so that Mary wouldn't have any more bumps than she possibly could stand because she was so close to having this baby. And they walked and walked and walked and walked, and they walked over lots of rocks and on this pathway and along a road and over some bridges and actually through some little creeks, and it seemed like they'd been walking forever. And finally Joseph said to Mary, "Mary, there's Bethlehem." And off in the distance they could see Bethlehem. And pretty soon they came into Bethlehem, and there was just people everywhere. And Mary said, "Joseph, I think it's getting time to have the baby." And sure enough, Joseph says, "Oh, Mary, we have to find a place to spend the night." And Mary says, "Yes, please do it quickly, Joseph, because I think the baby's going to come real soon." And Herkimer went hee-haw, hee-haw, hee-haw because Herkimer had been so excited for such a long time for this baby to come. And Joseph patted Herkimer and said, "Herkimer, now just settle down. We have to find a place to spend the night." And so off they went, and they went to an inn, and Joseph went in and asked the innkeeper if they could get a room for the night, and the innkeeper said, "No, there's no room here. Everyone has already filled it up." And they went to another one, and pretty soon they were at the last inn in all of Bethlehem, and there was no room. And Joseph came out looking very sad and said, "Mary, I don't know what we're going to do because there's no room at any of the inns in all of Bethlehem." And Mary says, "Oh, Joseph, we have to find a place really soon because, it hurts so bad, and we're gonna have this baby tonight, I know." And just then Herkimer's ears picked up, and he heard something. And sure enough, moo, moo, and it was a cow that he heard. He couldn't see where it was coming from, but he thought he knew it. And so he kind of started moving forward. Mary was still sitting on his back, and Joseph trusted him, so he let him go. And sure enough, because Herkimer thought, well, if there's a cow there, well, there's probably a stable there, and at least it would be a place we could get in out of the weather, and it would be a little bit warmer than just outside. And so they went in, and here was this stable. And in those days, in Nazareth and Bethlehem, when they had stables, instead of having a barn built, it was usually in a cave in the side of a hill. And sure enough, that's where this stable was, where Herkimer had heard this cow mooing. And there was this stable. And so Joseph ran in real quick and asked the man that owned the stable if they could spend the night there, since his wife was going to have a baby. And the man was very nice to Joseph and said, sure, help yourself. I wish I had something better to offer you, but you're welcome to spend the night there. So they went in, and it was out of the weather a little bit. In fact, it was quite warm in there because there were so many animals. There were some sheep and goats and several cows, and they all kind of backed up when they came in, and they found an area of straw that they could lay Mary down. And sure enough, in just a few minutes, the baby was born. And this baby was beautiful when this baby was born. And Joseph picked up the baby and handed the baby to Mary, and Mary held her and wrapped the baby in some strips of cloth. And the only place they had to put the baby was in this manger where they kept the straw and the hay for the animals. And they put the baby there, and all of a sudden, out the front of this cave, there was this light that was so bright, it was just brilliantly bright. And Herkimer saw this light, and he was so excited, he went, hee-haw, hee-haw, hee-haw. And he walked down and he looked up and he saw this star, bigger than any star he'd ever seen. And it was just like a spotlight coming down right to this stable. And he looked in, and he saw Joseph and Mary and the baby, and he heard Joseph say to Mary, Mary, this baby we're going to call this baby Jesus. Another name for this baby is Emmanuel, and that means that he will save his people from their sins. And that's the name they named this baby. And just as they were talking, here came a whole bunch of shepherds, and they had long sticks that they were holding that they used to help the sheep. They were called staffs, and they came in, and as soon as they came in and saw the baby, they got down on their knees and they worshiped the baby. And they told these stories that were just incredible about these angels coming out in the fields where they were tending the sheep, and the angels said that they shouldn't be afraid, but that they should be excited, for tonight in Bethlehem the Messiah was going to be born, and his name would be Jesus, and they should come worship him. And they said, glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill to men. And these shepherds were so excited, and they congratulated Mary and Joseph, and they worshiped Jesus, and they got up, and they were so excited, and they left. And as they left, the star was still there, and it was very bright. And I realized all of a sudden, after all that had happened, what an exciting day this was, and that I had got to carry Mary all those 70 miles from Nazareth to Bethlehem. And now she had had this baby, and this baby was Jesus. The news was so exciting, I couldn't hardly stand it to think. And I just started going, hee-haw, 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 hee-haw. And Joseph knew that I was excited because I had been able to help. And that's the story of Herkimer the Hee-Haw Donkey as he got to carry the mother of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph all the way to Bethlehem. And Herkimer laid his head down on the straw in the stable and went to sleep. And boys and girls, because of the events of that day, we give gifts to each other at Christmas, and and we celebrate the very best gift that God ever gave, and that was the gift of Jesus.